Nebraska has a secret most Americans don't know about. It's home to 219 fish farms that generate $330 million annually, despite being a landlocked state. These indoor operations use cutting-edge techniques that maximize production while minimizing water usage. This surprising fact is just one example of how American agriculture operates in ways most consumers never imagine. From the pheasant farms that release 11.7 million birds annually for conservation and hunting, to the massive grape harvests of California's San Joaquin Valley, American farming happens at a scale that's difficult to comprehend until you see it in action. Ever wondered how the grapes in your wine glass made it from vine to bottle? The journey begins with tens of thousands of hands in California's San Joaquin Valley. This agricultural powerhouse is home to vineyards spanning an astonishing 897,000 acres, equivalent to about 680,000 football fields, producing 8.4 billion pounds of grapes annually. Behind this massive harvest stands an equally massive workforce. When dawn breaks over the valley from August through November, workers arrive at the vineyards before the worst heat of the day sets in. These laborers, predominantly immigrants from Central American countries like Guatemala, earn around $11 per hour for their specialized skills. A wage that raises important questions about labor practices in one of America's most profitable agricultural sectors. The grape harvest is not just physically demanding, but requires precision and knowledge that can only be developed through experience. Workers must quickly identify grape clusters at perfect ripeness using visual cues like color development and berry firmness. A single mistake can affect an entire batch of wine. Too early, and the grapes lack sufficient sugar content. Too late, and they may develop overripe flavors inappropriate for premium wines. Harvesters work in teams, moving through vineyard rows with remarkable efficiency. Using specialized curved knives called grape hooks, they carefully cut clusters from the vines, taking care not to damage the delicate fruit. Each worker typically harvests between 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of grapes per day. An impressive amount considering every cluster requires individual assessment and careful handling. The physical toll is considerable. Workers spend hours performing repetitive cutting motions while carrying increasingly heavy collection bins. Summer temperatures in the San Joaquin Valley frequently exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, creating dangerous conditions that require careful management. Frequent water breaks and access to shade become critical safety measures rather than optional comforts. What might surprise many consumers is that 71% of California's grape production is dedicated to winemaking, with the remainder divided between table grapes and raisins. This distinction matters because wine grapes demand even more careful handling than varieties grown for direct consumption. Modern vineyard operations represent a delicate balance between traditional methods and technological innovation. While premium wineries still insist on hand harvesting to ensure quality, many large-scale operations have begun integrating mechanical harvesters. These machines straddle the vineyard rows, using rubber or fiberglass rods to shake ripe grapes from the vines onto conveyor belts. The economics create difficult choices for vineyard owners. Mechanical harvesters can cost upwards of $300,000, but can harvest 200 tons of grapes in a single day, work that would require about 100 human laborers. However, even the most sophisticated machines lack the discernment of experienced workers who can differentiate between perfectly ripe clusters and those needing more time. For certain wine styles, especially premium ones, there's simply no substitute for human judgment. Red wine grapes often require selective harvesting, with workers making multiple passes through the same vineyard rows as different clusters reach optimal ripeness. This level of care simply cannot be automated with current technology. The true challenge for California's wine industry isn't just harvesting billions of pounds of grapes, but doing so with consistent quality while balancing labor costs and worker welfare. Vineyard owners find themselves navigating complex issues, including immigration policy, rising minimum wages, competition for seasonal workers, and increasing consumer demand for sustainably and ethically produced wines. Some vineyards have implemented worker incentive programs, offering bonuses for quality rather than just quantity. Others have invested in worker housing, education programs, and year-round employment opportunities to build a more stable workforce. These approaches recognize that experienced harvesters represent valuable human capital rather than interchangeable labor units. Moving from the grape fields of California to the sun-drenched plains of Florida reveals a surprising agricultural powerhouse few consumers know exists. While most people associate chili peppers with the Southwest, Florida has silently become one of America's chili pepper powerhouses, pioneering harvesting techniques that challenge conventional agricultural practices. Florida, alongside California and Michigan, produces an astounding 77% of America's chili peppers, with the United States yielding 738 million pounds in 2022 alone. Unlike the grape harvest we explored earlier, chili pepper cultivation presents a unique set of challenges. The plants themselves are remarkably delicate, requiring specialized handling techniques that differ significantly from other crops. These aren't just any agricultural products. They're sensitive organisms whose heat levels and quality can be compromised through improper harvesting methods. What makes the Florida chili pepper harvest particularly fascinating is the ripening pattern. Unlike some crops that mature uniformly, chili peppers on the same plant ripen at different rates, complicating the harvesting process. This variability means workers must exercise careful judgment with each plant, identifying which peppers are ready for harvest while leaving others to mature, a level of selective harvesting that demands both skill and patience. The economic impact of Florida's chili production extends deeply into local communities. A typical harvest employs approximately 215 workers, creating a substantial employment opportunity in rural areas. Yet this labor-intensive process faces mounting challenges. Worker shortages continue to grow, while labor costs rise steadily, squeezing profit margins for producers. The industry's response to these pressures demonstrates American agricultural innovation at its finest. Florida chili farmers have pioneered specialized conveyor systems that fundamentally transform the harvesting process. These systems move methodically through the fields, allowing workers to deposit freshly picked peppers directly onto moving belts rather than carrying heavy loads themselves. The efficiency gains from this seemingly simple innovation are remarkable. Workers using the conveyor method can harvest up to 30% more peppers than those using traditional techniques. This productivity boost comes with the added benefit of reducing physical strain on workers, a crucial improvement in a job that already demands hours of repetitive motion under the Florida sun. But the innovation doesn't end at harvest. The clock starts ticking the moment peppers are picked, initiating a race against time. Unlike hardier crops that can withstand delays in processing, chili peppers require rapid handling to maintain their freshness, quality, and distinctive heat levels. This creates a precisely choreographed operation from field to processing facility, where timing becomes as crucial as technique. The supply chain for these peppers represents a marvel of logistical planning. Harvest schedules are coordinated with processing capacity, transportation availability, and market demands. One breakdown in this chain can compromise an entire harvest's value, highlighting the interconnected nature of modern agriculture. These conveyor systems also represent a middle path in the ongoing debate between manual and mechanical harvesting. Rather than replacing human workers entirely with machines, a transition that would be technically challenging given the selective nature of pepper harvesting, these systems enhance human capabilities, allowing workers to focus their expertise on selection while the technology handles transportation. For consumers enjoying spicy salsas, hot sauces, or chili-infused dishes, the complex harvest methods behind these ingredients remain largely invisible. Yet, understanding these processes reveals how much agricultural innovation contributes to our food system's efficiency and sustainability. Beyond the visible world of produce displays lies a hidden economic ecosystem, where timing can make or break an entire season's profit. When watermelon farmers in Arizona deploy their harvesting teams across 107,000 acres of farmland, they're not just collecting fruit, they're racing against a biological clock that waits for no one. This race unfolds with remarkable intensity across America's diverse fruit-growing regions, where the economic realities of seasonal harvesting remain invisible to most consumers. The agricultural calendar creates a unique employment pattern unlike almost any other industry. Farms transform from quiet operations to bustling hubs of activity within days, requiring thousands of workers for intensely focused periods before returning to minimal staffing. This boom and bust cycle shapes everything from rural economies to migration patterns, particularly evident in regions where fruit harvesting dominates. Take the persimmon harvest in Indiana, where the approach to gathering fruit reveals the delicate balance between labor costs and product quality. Workers don't simply pluck the fruit by hand, they meticulously cut each persimmon using scissors. This seemingly small detail represents a calculated economic decision. The premium these fruits command in the marketplace justifies the additional labor cost of this specialized harvesting technique. Across just 3,213 acres nationwide, persimmon farms produced 37.7 million pounds in 2022 alone, with nearly three-quarters consumed domestically. The economic calculations differ dramatically for watermelon operations. Arizona, Georgia, and Florida lead production, together accounting for 29% of the nation's 3.8 billion pound annual yield. These massive fruits require entirely different handling systems, with teams working in coordinated groups to move the heavy produce efficiently from field to transport. The scale of these operations, tens of thousands of acres producing billions of pounds, creates logistical challenges that small-scale farms simply don't face. What connects these diverse operations is the unforgiving timeline of ripening fruit. Even a single week's delay in harvesting can devastate a farm financially. This pressure explains why seasonal fruit operations invest so heavily in workforce recruitment and retention, despite the temporary nature of the work. The timing imperative transforms harvesting from a mere agricultural activity into a high-stakes economic orchestration. Georgia's peach industry demonstrates how regional specialization and careful marketing can overcome production disadvantages. Despite California producing 1.1 billion of the nation's 1.6 billion pounds of peaches in 2022, Georgia's peach industry maintains cultural significance and price premiums through strategic branding and quality differentiation. This approach exemplifies how smaller producers can thrive alongside agricultural giants through specialization. Behind all these operations stands an often overlooked mobile workforce that makes American fruit production possible. This labor force moves systematically through harvesting seasons across regions and crops, creating a complex migration pattern that follows ripening schedules. For farms, accessing this labor pool at precisely the right moment represents one of their most significant operational challenges. The economic reality of seasonal fruit harvesting highlights a fundamental tension in our food system. Consumers expect consistent quality and reasonable prices, yet the production methods necessary to deliver this experience depend on seasonal labor surges that create significant management challenges. Farmers must somehow secure thousands of workers with specialized skills for brief periods, then release them until the next season. This economic system extends beyond individual farms to shape entire agricultural communities. The seasonal influx of workers transforms small towns for weeks or months before dissipating, creating ripple effects throughout local economies. Grocery stores stock differently, housing markets fluctuate, and service businesses adjust their operations to accommodate these predictable yet dramatic population shifts. And as we've seen throughout this journey, American agriculture represents an astonishing feat of human coordination. From vineyards to chili fields, the sheer volume of fruits and vegetables making their way to our tables requires the synchronized efforts of countless hands across the country. This invisible agricultural symphony plays out season after season, with specialized techniques adapted for each crop's unique needs. It's a testament to both tradition and innovation working in tandem. So the next time you bite into a juicy peach or sip a glass of wine, remember the complex harvesting process behind it. A reminder that our food system depends on the skill and dedication of those who bring it from field to table.